Hey, I've wanted to make this video for a while, and I thought this would be a good time to finally make it. I was in a really abusive relationship that I just got out of, and I was on and off with him for 4 years. After basic training, I decided to live with him, 6 hours away from my family, and once I started living with him, it was really great until 2 months. I think it was even a month went by, and the fighting got worse. Every time I disagreed with him, it would become a fight if I didn't let him have my phone, um, or if I wanted to drive the car, he wouldn't let me. And if I didn't want to have sex with him, he'd punch things, and eventually, instead of punching inanimate objects, it would become me. And it was really hard for me to. I never got any privacy. I was never alone. He never let me be alone. I couldn't talk to my family on the phone alone. I couldn't drive. I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things. And we finally moved out of his aunt's, and we got a house, and it got so much worse. The fighting was horrible. I'd be backed into corners, curled in a little ball, as he's screaming at me about all these things, and it was stupid things, like it didn't even matter. I wouldn't give him my phone, and it would be a huge fight because I didn't want him to have my phone. I couldn't talk to my parents because he was afraid I'd say bad things about him. I felt like I didn't want to leave him because I thought things were going to get better, and they never did. I remember not wanting to have sex with him one day, and I said something that must have set him off, and he grabbed me by my shoulders, and he was holding me down, and he was screaming at me. And I tried to fight back, and he flipped me off of the bed, and he had me on the floor by my throat. And I was doing everything I could to get him off of me. I was punching, I was kicking, but he had me by my throat, and everything was going dark. And I finally got up, and I was yelling at him, asking him why he was doing this to me, and I thought he cared, and I said something else, and he punched me in the face, right here. He just like straight up punched me in the face so hard that I went flying backwards into the bed, and I was laying in the bed, and the only thing he said to me was, "Look what you made me do." And now I feel like shit. I made him punch me in the face. And it was hard for me. I didn't want to do something for him one day, and I talked back to him when I was sitting on the couch, and he got up and he grabbed me and flipped me onto the floor. And at that time, we had a roommate, and he came in, and he was sick of seeing what Kevin was doing to me. And he tried to get Kevin off of me, and Kevin turned around and pushed him against the wall and started punching him. And I ran outside, and I was going to call the cops, but he got to me too fast. And he carried me into the house. One day, I got two kittens, and I brought them home, and right then he had issues with the cats, like an authority issue. Like if they didn't listen to him, he'd throw them or kick them. One day I came home and one of my kittens couldn't move, and it was desperately trying to meow, and it couldn't move anything, but it was still alive. And I don't know if it was a delayed injury or something, but something happened to her earlier that day, and I don't know what he did. I don't believe his story of how she got hurt, and I had to bring her to the Humane Society and put her down. The second cat, he would sometimes do things to it, and it would have seizures. It would start having seizures, and he'd get more mad because when it'd have seizures, it would poop everywhere. And he'd get more mad because there was poop all over him, and he'd beat on it more or throw it. And when I talked back to him about it, he would put it on me, and he would get in more fights. It was really hard for me because I thought he loved me, and here he is treating me like this. I still have nightmares about it and flashbacks, and I think of how much damage he did to me, and he acts like he doesn't care, like he did nothing wrong, and getting mad at me for telling people what he did. And he knows what he did, but he doesn't want to accept it because he thinks he did nothing wrong. The damage abusive relationships do on people is greater than anyone will ever realize. We don't talk about it. There's no way to explain how it makes you feel after you get out of it. No one will ever understand until they're in an abusive relationship how hard it is to deal with it. You can't just forget what happened, and you look at certain parts on your body and you just remember what happened. Sometimes you get flashbacks. There's a certain TV show on, and there's something in it that just brings every feeling and every memory back into your mind, and you can't stop thinking about what you did wrong to deserve it. There's nothing that will ever explain the feeling of people who are in abusive relationships. The kind of power they have over you, they take you from your family. You're not allowed to be alone. They take all your privileges. You feel like a child, and you listen to them because you think that's the only way to make sure that it doesn't happen again and that things will get better, and they do for a day or two, maybe a couple hours, and then it happens again. The fighting, the it's hard for people to get over it. And even though for a couple days it's okay, you feel great, and then it comes back again, and you wonder how they could do those things to you. How they could have ever hurt you when they said they loved you. And the horrible part is they don't even realize they did anything wrong. They think they did nothing wrong. They think they're perfectly innocent and we're the evil ones. And sometimes we believe it. Sometimes we think we really are lying. And then we really think about all of the things when you see those things on TV and you just remember all the things that have happened, being curled up in a ball, getting screamed at, punched, kicked, choked, made to do things you would never do on your own. There's no way to explain the pain and there's no way of forgetting it. I have a hard time moving on, and it's only been a month since I've gotten out of my abusive relationship, but it's hard. I'm afraid to see him. I'm afraid what's going to happen if he sees me and I'm alone. They'll never realize the pain that they put on people. And they will do it again and again. And the only regret I have is that I didn't put him in jail when I had the chance because I was too afraid. To people that think, oh, you were in an abusive relationship, it's not a big deal. You're going to get over it. It's going to be okay. Eventually it will be, but you have to just not assume they're perfectly fine. Certain things people do, like your friends jokingly mess around with you and try to beat you up or something, is different. It's different after all those things happen because it brings back horrible memories. Even if their intentions were just to be messing around and then you try to play it off like it's okay and it's not a big deal, but it is. I made this video because I need to get it off my chest. And hopefully this helps, but the pain inside is crazy. Being in an abusive relationship sucks. And the fact that not very many people understand how you feel is the worst because there's no one you can talk to. There's no one they can say anything they want. And all you think is your mind is you don't know what I've been through and you don't know half of the things. It's more of a mental breakdown than you actually think. There's so many things on the inside that are broken more than on the outside. A few bruises doesn't amount to the bruises on the inside. I really hope that I can move on and start trusting people again and not feeling so broken and defeated because I really feel defeated right now. I don't have much of a self-esteem. Everything I feel like I do wrong. But I really hope that I can move on from this and not hurt anymore.